Parent Entrepreneur Power, conversation number 178.
Parent Entrepreneur Power.
Wait, what? Entrepreneur Power!
This is the podcast for parents juggling the tough choices required for success in business while putting family first. Hi, I'm Mary Catherine Johnson, and I share the ups and downs and dirty truths of profits and potty training while chatting with successful parent entrepreneurs from all walks of life. Are you powered up? Hey there, Power Parents. Guess who? Mary Catherine Johnson here, and I have already been chatting with my guest today, and I know we're probably going to be talking over each other because we love to chat. So hang on for this ride. I get to introduce you to Megan Peterson. She is the founder of Second Chance Counseling Service. So hey there, Megan. Welcome to the conversation.
Hey. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm a therapist by nature, so I like to talk. I'm sorry.
It's like a prerequisite. To listen. It's a combination of listening and talking, right? I don't know where that line comes in, but it doesn't matter.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah. This is going to be fun. All right. So your once upon a time story, we start there with everyone. So tell us how you, and I know we're going to have fun talking about what you were doing with your kids and traveling and all that stuff, but tell us how you got into this whole gig, this whole parenting and entrepreneur thing. Which ones came first, the business or the kids?
Kids came first. So kids absolutely came first. In fact, we just started the entrepreneurial part within the past, I want to say 6 months, when we launched everything on a national basis. So kids definitely came first. In fact, we made significant life changes just in-house to be more present with our kids and spend more time with them and have more experiences with them, because our kids are 11 and 8. So only by the grace of God, they still like us. So we wanted to be able to harness that and travel with them and really get to know who our kids are and give them wonderful experiences while we can. And obviously while they still liked being around us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we know it's coming. Because we have an 11-year-old girl, so that's coming sooner than the other, and an 8-year-old little boy. So we wanted to have all those experiences with them, and I really didn't want to be an entrepreneur or own my own business. In fact, the thought of it absolutely petrified me, and it still petrifies me on a daily basis. So it was one of those things where I constantly had like some people call it the itch or the whispers. Not that I'm hearing things in my head, because I'm not, but kind of like that constant poke that you feel like you're supposed to be doing something else, and it constantly comes up and you keep thinking about it and you keep ignoring it and you hope that it goes away, but it never goes away. Well, I had that for about a year and a half. And then my ever so loving husband, I think it was November, said, "I'm tired of hearing about it. Either do it or shut up about it."
Oh my goodness. I wish mine had said that. I had to convince him. So, wow, that's a good one.
Yeah. So I did. And so here we are. And I'm definitely not a novice at this. In fact, I was listening to a lot of your other podcasts. I was like, man, a lot of these other women have their stuff together. I feel like I'm in the trenches of it right now. I'm really trying to just still muddle through and take it day by day. So, the struggle is real for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And, we all just muddle through day by day anyway. Once we get one thing mastered, then boom, we're at another level and something else comes in that we had no clue even existed, and we got to muddle through that one. So It's never over. It's never over. All right. So tell me about the entrepreneurial part though. Okay. So you wanted to spend more time with the kids and you wanted to travel to get to know them well. So how do you make money? Where's your business?
So we're blessed enough that my husband works full time. So I didn't have to do this. And again, it's something that I really struggled with, but I have a lot of knowledge in this industry. And I know that a lot of things need to change as far as helping people, because we have such an epidemic with addiction. And even like a lot of moms, before, a lot of the stereotypical things were, it was somebody that didn't have a home or didn't have a job or didn't have kids. And that's, addiction doesn't have a face at all. Mm-hmm. So even from that standpoint, like, I came across a lot of moms that were at home and had small children and were getting addicted to substances and couldn't get out because they couldn't even find childcare to watch their kids to get out and get the help that they needed. Mm-hmm. So I thought, we use our devices for everything. Like, I'm talking to you over a device. My phone is right next to me. It's next to me all the time. Why are we not leveraging these tools to get the help that we need? And you see it on other platforms. Other platforms are using it at this point in time. Other people in the healthcare industry is using platforms like this. So why not do it from a therapeutic concept? So that's where it kind of took shape is, once my husband basically, said either do it or stop talking about it, I decided to do it because I'm not somebody that likes to live with regret. But on the flip side, I'm a person that if I do something, I'm all in and I don't turn back. And I think that's what the hardest part for me was to commit to it, because I knew once I commit, like, there's no turning around and running the opposite direction.
Right. There's no quitting. Yeah.
No, there's no, what is that? That was the movie. There's no quitting in, there's no crying in baseball, but there's no quitting in baseball either.
No, that's right. Or life. I'm sorry. We just can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was an athlete. And I was a softball pitcher. So actually I heard that a couple times from my own father. There's no quitting in baseball. Yeah. So
I can imagine.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're kind of in it at this point, and family and trying to find that balance right now and trying to stay present with your kids. Because obviously we do travel with the kids and we do like to see new things and have new experiences, but they are being homeschooled. And, that's another whole thing that's thrown into it. So there's just, there's a lot going on.
Okay. Yeah. So take me through this. I think we've taken our airplane and flown high in your life and then dive down a little bit and learn a little bit and then get back up at the high level and then dive down. So take me through a typical day, and maybe that will give us an idea of what really you do. And then what I'm going to do from there is really talk about a customer of yours and how they fit into that day. But let's start with the kids, especially homeschooling. I get it. I know I'm homeschooling my 15-year-old. So,
oh God, love you.
He's a sophomore, just finished sophomore, going into junior. It's fun. I'm being facetious, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So, okay. Typical day. And when you say traveling, tell me a little bit more about that too. So we're going to have to weave ourselves through this whole thing. So start with your day.
I don't know if I want to share with you today, because today was one of those things where if somebody if someone had they'd be like, oh my gosh, this woman is crazy. So, every day is typically different, but, it's a balancing act. It's a juggle act. It's, I'll be on the phone with customers and the 8-year-old will come up to me and start trying to talk. And even though he's 8, I'm like, you can clearly see I'm on the phone. You need to wait. And then I will help you in a second. So it just depends. Today was kind of crazy. I had interviews. I had patient conversations. I had to throw an 8-year-old in the shower because, of course, he's a boy and he doesn't like to take them. And it was time. So we did that in the morning. And as that's happening, I have the doorbell ringing because we're actually staying with family over the Memorial Day holiday. So we're staying with him right now. So I had the doorbell ringing and then I had food on the stove. So literally, someone saw me, I would look like one of those chickens with their head cut off running in 10 different directions today. So it's, there's days like that, but then there's other days where it's a lot calmer and it's a lot more structured and things happen the way that they're kind of supposed to happen or laid out. So I think business, I was listening to a lot of people that you were speaking with, and I think the correlation of the parallels between business and parenting is that you never know what's coming. When you have kids, life is incredibly unexpected with them, and things can change on the dime, and you have to be able to be flexible enough to flex your style and your communication and even your day as to what's happening at that certain moment. And I think business is the same. Things happen in your business on a daily basis that you need to flex to and be able to be open enough to listen to and change things accordingly. So I kind of look at them very similar. I think the difficult part is managing them together.
Yeah. Yes, and yes. I agree 100%. And one of the things when you were talking that just kind of popped into my head, because I'm kind of on the tail end of this, is that whole adaptation that we have to do with our kids, because all of a sudden the next phase comes and we have no clue it's coming. We have no clue what it is. We have no clue who these monsters are going to phase into, right?
Yeah.
Or adapt into, what this next creature is going to become. So we just hang on and hope we have the skills to deal with it. But yes, our business is really the same way. We don't know what's coming next because we haven't experienced it yet.
Right.
So, and even if we did experience it, it was a different business with a different set of circumstances, just like our kids. Gosh darn it, that 11-year-old girl didn't adapt the same as this now 8-year-old boy. And you probably didn't have to throw her in the shower and say, no, you need to clean now, because the smell stayed after he left, right?
Yeah.
20 minutes
Yeah, no,
ago.
she's different. She's it's been an hour, you need to get out of the shower. Or this is like your third shower today.
Yes.
They are definitely, from a personality standpoint, not just even from a girl boy standpoint. I mean, they are absolutely polar opposites. So from a schooling standpoint and just interactive standpoint, our daughter is the intellect. She will get her stuff out. She's highly structured. She'll work through her programs for the day. She'll come and ask if she has questions. Whereas our son is very active, likes to be outside. Attention span can be a little bit on the shorter side. Loves to learn, but like just interactive all day. I mean, I don't know where he gets all of his talking from. I have no idea, but he's a little motor mouth too. So sometimes it's like, okay, Mama's just got to think, and I can't think because your mouth is still moving, and I love you, but can you just stop for a second? Just give me a minute. Yes.
Exactly. I know. Okay. So we got an idea of the day. It's just as crazy as all the rest of us. So thank you for confirming that. I appreciate it. But secondly, now, okay, you mentioned patient calls, you mentioned clients, you mentioned those kinds of things. So take me through, who is your client and how do you serve them?
Sure. So our client is anybody who has a substance abuse problem. So anybody that's suffering from addiction would be, the patient population that we're serving. So again, I think we touched upon that addiction has no face. So that literally can be anybody. It can be, somebody that is somebody's grandmother, to somebody that just got out of, high school, to anybody in between. It could be a lawyer. It could be a doctor. It could be somebody that's working on the railroad. It literally, it does not discriminate at all.
Right. And you're right. I agree 100%. Not that I have, personal experience helping people in that sense. I've had many people that are in my life. I won't say many, I'll say probably 5 in my own personal life who have dealt with those things. And I'll cop to this right here. I am totally addicted to food. I use food in an addictive capacity. So I struggle with that daily. And if there's anyone else out there like me, I'm using very much not necessarily a 12-step program. That's not what it is, but it's looking at food from the addictive side, just like you would anything else. And Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson has a great program called Bright Line Eating. So if anyone's interested in that, I would highly recommend you go check that out. It's amazing. But it takes that bright line. It basically, when you're ready to say that I'm done, you have to draw those bright lines that say, this is how I live. And you still have to deal with all the other crap that goes along with it, but at least you have to start somewhere.
And I was going to say, most times, like with that I'm done happens a lot. Like, it's not just one time. No. I mean, I'm right there with you. Actually, it's, I'm very similar where I struggle with that as well. Always struggled with that. So I'm actually on an eating plan right now, just traveling and now owning, our own company. There are times where it's like, I'm not like I should say, I'm just like all those other moms where it's 6 o'clock and my kids are going, I'm hungry. What's for dinner? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's 6 o'clock. What are we going to eat? I have no idea.
Exactly.
So it's about making healthy choices and
Planning.
kind of having a plan and doing some of those things. But it's definitely just like with addiction, people relapse and things happen, and, it's food is no different. So it's about saying, okay, this day is the day. And even though I might have misstepped yesterday, like today is a new day and today is a new challenge, and I'm going to commit to do X, Y, and Z today. So there's a lot of similarities in that within the patients that we're treating as well, is that most of them that are coming to us, this is not the first time that they've sought out recovery. And it's a process, and, it is what it is. We hold no judgments, understanding full well that, most of them are going to trip up at some point because it's human nature.
If I'm going to judge someone else, then I better turn that finger back on myself.
Yeah.
Because we're all in the same boat. We are all humans. We all deal with something. I don't care who you are. There is something you're dealing with that you can't handle.
Yeah.
Or you don't have the tools to handle. And
you're here to that.
It's just the way we are. So just chill. Chill about judging everybody else. And once I finally got over that, then I could look and go, oh, crap, that's right. I'm dealing with this too. And I've got to deal with this too. So, it's,
Well, and I think it's really funny too, because like now that you said that, I'm thinking of, like, I've heard from other people, well, they're like addicts, so they're different. But they're not, because like, they don't have their own stuff together, or for them it's gambling, or it's, online addiction or gaming addiction, or, or exercise or any of those other ones. But yet for some odd reason, addiction holds that like such strong hold of a negative connotation that people think that it's different than anything else that's out there. And it's not. It's absolutely not.
I agree. And I think that's probably what you're talking about. And you probably have images to this effect. But addiction we think of as the meth addict, right? I mean, that's one of the physically worse that you can see the addiction.
Yes.
Right. It's just physically you can see that person is an addict to methamphetamines and or crystal meth or whatever you want to call it. But they are clearly addicted.
Right.
Their personal physical presence is different.
Right.
But that's the face we want to put on it. But that's not the face. That is not the most abundant addicted face.
Right.
Most of the people that are addicted are walking around like anybody else, trying to manage their day and looking like anybody else managing their day.
Right. No, absolutely.
And it's behind the scenes that usually things are out of control. And most of us don't see that.
Right.
Is that true or not?
No. Well, so I'm totally going to bring this up because this is in the news today, actually. But it's interesting, and it's a shame that it takes people that are like in celebrity status to really people to be able to identify this. But, Tiger Woods has been in the news all morning because he got a DUI, and it wasn't for alcohol. It was substances that were in his system, and it was an opiate that was present in his system. And if you really want to look back at it, you've got Prince, you've got Michael Jackson. Yeah. I mean, you've got all Heath Ledger, you've got all these other people that have died from substance overdoses. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is addicted to this opiate. Obviously, we don't know. We're not very close to him. But the fact of the matter is that he was absolutely clinically impaired because of this drug at this time. So it really can happen to anyone at any time. And I think that a lot of people have a hard time realizing that. Like, again, like you said, they have that picture of somebody that just looks like they're down and out, but yet now you have somebody like Tiger Woods who's been extremely successful in his career, and obviously money is not the issue for him, and obviously he's had some troubles, but now it's the question of, okay, now he's taking pain medication for what purpose, and at what point is he really struggling with addiction versus just treating his pain? And I think that there's a fine line there, and it blurs a lot for a lot of people.
I agree 100%. But you know what? There's a lot of people out in the audience listening to us right now going, yeah, but that's Tiger Woods. That's Prince. That's Heath Ledger. That's all these other people. And they still are just as untouchable as that meth addict. Most of the people in the audience cannot equate themselves with that life, whatever that life is. But I'm here to tell you, and if you look inside, those of you listening to my voice, I'm sure you can find something that you are dealing with, that you are either trying to avoid, not deal with at all, or trying to numb yourself from using something else.
Right.
That's life for most of us. And I'm telling you, the journey you're on, if you look at that, you will get to the end of your life happier. If you look at that and try and deal with it as an adult, because most of them started for us as kids. Most of them, we dealt with whatever we were dealing with as kids, and we've carried that. It's so crazy when I look at that and go, my father has absolutely no control over me anyway, anything at all. I'm 50 years old, for criminy sakes. He has no control over me, but I'm still letting him control me in my flippin' head. So, once you do that, once you realize that, you are so much happier when you let go of that crap and just, what? He's not here. My door is locked. My door is shut. No one can get in. It's okay, Mary. Let it go. Right? But
I think so many people, like a lot of the times I'll hear, oh, he made me feel this way. And I think what a lot of us need to come to realize is that no one makes you do anything. Like, we are in charge of ourselves and only ourselves. So that means two things. One, you can't change somebody else. It's unrealistic. Don't even have that expectation. A lot of women go into relationships obviously trying to change their mates as well, because we are, very emotional beings, and we want to see what's in the best interest of other people. But you can't change someone. They have to want to change themselves just as much as you can't control somebody else. I am in charge of my own, physical and emotional, feelings. So I can't say, people will say, and I have done it as well, especially being a daughter and having a mother, because obviously sometimes you have those conversations and I'll be like, oh, my mom, she really pissed me off. Right. Well, no, my mom did something that started a reaction in me. But at the end of the day, I'm pissed off because I made myself get pissed off, because I have the power to say, you know what, it's not that big of a deal and I'm going to let it go. Mm-hmm. So I think if a lot of us, did that more and realize that we are only in control of ourselves, the world would be a much better place. But it's not. We tend to blame everybody else for every other reason that our feelings are going on, rather than really taking a good look inside, because it's easier to do it that way.
Oh my gosh, yes. Two things I'm going to say to that. Number one, it's not just women who want to change men. It's also men who want to rescue women. So watch out, guys. Okay, that damsel in distress is always going to be a damsel in distress. And when she decides not to be a damsel anymore, she's going to be ticked off at you for trying to rescue her. Okay?
Right.
So that's number one. Number two, anyone out there who keeps saying Trump ticked me off, or Obama ticked me off, or the Democrats are terrible, or they're doing this, or Republicans, stop it. Stop it.
Right.
Just look inside. Let it go. Nobody's dying unless they're dying. Okay?
Right.
Unless they're pointing a gun at you and saying, guess what? We have a military state now, which is not happening. Chill. All right. Stop putting everybody down. Look at yourself and change yourself. Let's change the world with ourselves first. Okay.
Right.
That's number one. And number two. So, but thank you for that, because it's so true. We can only control ourselves. And that equates with our kids too. Oh my goodness. They don't.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's,
well, you can kind of control them to a certain extent. Like, I will take your iPad away if you don't do X, which, like, you're not going to tell me that as being a young adult anymore. Yes. But you're right. Like, they are going to be who they are. Their personalities, for lack of a whatever, are already developed.
That's right.
They are turning into the human beings that they are supposed to turn into. Yes. And I only have so much leverage over that, or so much influence.
Oh my gosh. And I see that now that they're 15 and 18. Mm-hmm. That has been the biggest slap in the face for me of anything I've done. And I just have to look at that and go, okay, I've laid the best foundation I can. I'm still here. I'm still present. I'm still participating.
Right.
I have to shut up quite often, much more than I ever had in the past. But I just have to, and let them do what they've got to do and make whatever mistakes they're going to make. And get hurt however they're going to get hurt.
Like, from an addiction standpoint, I see that a lot. And I actually, I experienced it in my own family a little bit as well, where as parents, we feel personally responsible for the decisions that our children make. And then we feel that it reflects upon us as well. And what I do see all too often is, kids that will get addicted to substances, and parents are either in full blown denial of it going on because they don't want to take a look at the problem because they think that it started with them or somehow they were responsible for this happening. And they could have been and they could not have been. But in all reality, that doesn't make a difference. Or they're like, well, we can't have any of this come to light. We need to keep it in house because God forbid somebody knows what's going on in our family. What are they going to think of us? And how are they going to react to us? Not realizing that it's the choice that your son and daughter made. It's not a reflection on you and your parenting skill and what you did in life or how, So I think I see that on a daily basis. Parents really are in that struggle with their kids. And I think from a parent side, what they need to look at is it really does, when they talk about people, places, and things, it really does matter about people, places, and things. I don't care who you talk to, who your kids' friends are is important. It's important to know who they are. It's important to know who they're hanging out with, who those families are, kind of what they're doing when they're together, because your kids' friends have far more influence on them than what you ever think that you ever had.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. And I agree 100%. And I would take that the next step too. And Power Parents, I know we're going into this in a much deeper level than just surface business stuff. So bear with us. All right. No, it's really where I love going. So if this isn't your kind of gig and you don't want to listen to this, bye-bye. Have a great life. We'll be back next week. But really, for those of you who this is ringing a bell and who this is actually saying, I'm ready to hear this, please listen up. Because I agree 100%. Not only is it important who your kids' friends are and who they hang out with, but it's also important who you bring into your home and say,
absolutely.
This is an okay person to be around.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
All those people that I was mentioning that personally I know are addicted, there are a few of them who are addicted to drugs and alcohol and all those things, and they are not welcome in my home until they decide they're done, until they decide they're on the wagon or whatever you want to call it, until they decide they're turning their lives around, because I will not have that in my home when they're in the full-blown complete addiction of it. Right. Because that tells my kids it's okay to be around this person. This is okay. Right. I accept and want you to be around this. And I will not do that because I know the destructive force when someone's in the middle of that. When you get yourself back, your title of your business, Second Chance. Awesome. Second, third, 50th. I don't care. When you're there, you're welcome. When you're not, you're not.
Right. Well, it's to be able to acknowledge that this is the behavior that's going on, and we still love and we support you, and we're here when you're ready, and we want to help you, but we're not going to enable you to continue the way that you are, and we don't want to be around you, obviously, when you're in that state, because of the influence that you may have. And that's important too. It's not that we're abandoning family, friends, loved ones. It's not that we don't care about them. It's that we're acknowledging that their behavior is destructive, and we're here to support you when you're ready, but we also can't stand by and watch that destruction happen at the same time. So,
and participate
it's kind of like,
by allowing our kids
misery
there.
Loves company. Yeah. And so, I don't want to be around misery, because that's not the type of company that I want. And I don't want that for my kids either. So,
yeah. Yes. And, back to your point about who your kids hang out with, one of the rules that we had, and of course, my kids are older, so, the internet wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Phones and all that stuff were really just taking hold in middle school and elementary school when my kids were there. And of course, no, my kids were not allowed to have cell phones. I took them to school. I picked them up. There was no reason for them to have a cell phone. They had our phone if they wanted to talk to anybody, but I was where they needed to be. When they got to high school, that's a different story. They're with band. They're going off to events. I want to be able to keep in touch with them. They get a phone. But even on the internet, even with a computer, there was one computer in our home, and it was in the main area of the house. They didn't have a computer in their rooms, and they knew very well that they did not go on the internet or do anything on that computer when they were like 8, from the age of 7 to about 11 at least. that they didn't touch that unless they told me what they were going to do and I checked it out first. Because
Right.
all of their friends were saying, oh, check this out and check that out. And, totally cool. That's great. But I check it first. And thankfully, my sons knew that. And one of them came home, my younger son came home and said, oh, this is a neighbor. The neighbor told me to check out this amazing website. It's called XXX Desserts.
Oh, oh no.
And I said, okay, we're not going to check out that site. That's not a site you want to check out. And he kept wanting to show it to him on his iPad or iPod
Right.
and all this. And I told my son, no, that's not an appropriate site. I don't want you viewing that site. It has things that you're not going to like on it.
Right.
They'll be quite scary. You don't know about I don't want you looking at that site. We'll talk
Right.
about it when you're interested. If you want to know about it, I can talk to you about it. But no,
Right.
we're not going to visit that site. And so he knew that. So thank God that basically negated him having to deal with that at the age of 10.
Yeah.
Right? And
Well, it's setting
see
up
something that's
boundaries
yes. It's
with your
just-
kids, and you're not your kid's best friend.
No.
And I see that a lot now too, because obviously with us working so much and us being pulled in 10 different directions, and it's not the way that it quote unquote used to be. And it's not, families aren't sitting down to dinner anymore,
Right.
and they're not really having those conversations. So for whatever reason, a lot of parents feel like they need to be their kids' best friends than a parent. And like my kids know that I'm not their best friend. There's a time and a place for that. And when they're in their 20s or 30s, I will be there for them then. But right now I'm their parent. And, it was funny because when my kids were younger, I told them, I was like, oh, I'll never do that with what my parents did when they ask this question. I was like, just because I said so. And yeah, I do it. I totally do it. In fact, my daughter totally nailed me on it yesterday where, she's asking me and I'm trying to figure out how I can convey to her that I don't want her to do this. And finally I was like, you know what, just because I said so and let it go. And she's like, you said that you would never. I'm like, I know, just move on, So,
Yeah.
but it needs to be that way.
It
You need to
does.
set up those boundaries for your kids and be there as a parent. You're not their friend. You're not supposed to be their friend. You are there to guide them and support
Yes.
them and show them what is appropriate and not appropriate.
I agree 100%. And the only thing I would add to that is that even though you're not their best friend, it doesn't mean they can't come and talk to you about issues.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the way
Yeah.
you can do that is to not react.
Right.
And I'm telling you right now, that is the hardest thing for me to do because I am a very, you can read on my face exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I'm the same
So,
way.
And it started, the first lesson I got in this that really started me getting prepared for them becoming teenagers was when my oldest came to me in 8th grade and he was doing this sex education class. And he comes to me in the car and I'm picking him up. Before he even gets in the car, the windows are open. It's a fall day and the windows are open and he comes through the window and says, Mom, what's oral sex?
Oh, my.
And I kind of had to stop for a minute and say, okay, well, let's get in the car and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it on the way home. Okay. But let's not just announce this to the parking lot when
Yeah.
everybody's getting into cars around us and turning and looking like, what are you talking about? So that was my first lesson of straight face, poker face.
Yeah.
Don't react. Chill. It's okay.
Right.
He has no idea. I'm thinking my head as at that time, 40-something-year-old.
Right.
He is in 8th grade. Okay. So what I'm thinking and what he's thinking have nothing to do with
Completely
each other. They
different.
have no
Right.
idea. So chill on my own thoughts.
Yeah.
and let's kind of tackle this. And so
I,
because I didn't overreact, he's
Yeah.
okay with coming to me and talking to me about things that might be a little sensitive. If I had
My kids
overreacted,
kinda-
he would be scared, right?
They know to sidebar that, and that's a good tactic to use. And I use the same thing, and actually listeners should do the same thing because the kids will definitely throw us off on a daily basis. But I think that what you did was important. What my kids have asked me, obviously similar questions as well already, or kind of thrown me off guard. And typically what I'll do is I'll say, you know what, that's a really great question. And we're going to side table that for a minute. Mommy needs to process that. And then let me get back to you. So give me just a little bit. and put my thoughts together, and then I'm going to come back to you with an answer. So that way you're not caught off guard. That way you can really process what your kid just asked you when your mind is like racing in 10 different directions and there's all these alarms going off in your head. But B, then you can really formulate the way that you want to address that to your son or daughter and make sure that you convey that appropriately. So I think what you did was great. And I think that's a great tactic that parents can use with their kids. Is you don't want to react negatively or positively for that matter. You just want to have a conversation. So if you need to side table it and think, and then come back to it.
And that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes. You don't have to have every single answer immediately. Believe me, when they're 18 and 19, you won't because they're going to do their own thing. So yes. Wow. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it because it really did help me just having that shock and just calm and wait really did help put it in perspective and help me get my bearings to be able to tackle that question. I won't say how he reacted when we actually talked about it because I asked him, you sure you want to know? Are you sure you want to know?
I tell my daughter all the time, like, just remember, once you see, you cannot unsee. And once you know, you cannot unknow. So just be prepared.
Yes. Yeah. It's so true. Going back to that XXX desserts. Once you see, you can no longer unsee. It's there. It's a movie playing in your head now. So let's not put that movie there. Okay. Let's go watch Cars instead. All right.
I hear you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so you say you've been in this business. Let's kind of get down to business here a little bit. So you say you've been in this business for 6 months or a year or something like that. Was that what you were saying?
6 months doing the business that we've just created. I mean, I've been in the addiction industry for years. Yeah, 10 plus years, 18 plus years actually.
Wow. So how are you? So what does your business look like now? You're a private consultant helping people through addiction, and then how does that relate to traveling with your kids? Because you've talked about a motorhome, you've talked about some of those kinds of things. So take me through that. How is that all related?
So we actually have a online addiction teletherapy company. So we have therapists that work with us and partner with us to provide therapy to patients across all 50 states. So I have I've been blessed enough to have really phenomenal therapists that want to help people and acknowledge the fact that we have an epidemic and that there is a different way that people can get help. So, patients that need help, they would give us a call. They would get matched with one of our therapists. They would talk to one of us, a live person. I also feel very strongly, I think customer service has just, gone down the tubes in this country in general. So if they call us, you will get a live person. And if you don't get a live person and you get the answer machine, it's because we are on the phone with somebody else and we will call you back. So,
or it's 3 a.m. Who knows?
Yes. Although sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, right.
So,
but I hope you're not answering the phone. All right.
Yeah, I've got kids. Remember.
Right.
So, they will call us and basically we talk to them, find out what brought them to us, why they're reaching out to us, what they're struggling with. And then from that point, how we can appropriately help them and what therapists would be in their best interest for them to be matched with and to be able to get that help. So, that's the type of platform that we created because again, we're so busy right now with everything that's going on, both men and women, that it's hard to get therapy and treatment. And I don't think people really appreciate that there's no shame in getting help and there's no shame in admitting that you have a problem and you need to seek, something out to change things. And it doesn't matter if you did it 10 times before. I hear that too. I was like, well, God, I did this 10 other times. Why is now going to be different? Well, if you don't try it the 11th, how are you ever going to know if it's going to be different or not? So we're here and we're available when people are ready to get that help.
And then you mentioned traveling in a motorhome. So what's that about?
Yeah. So, we had a lifestyle where, we were living the American dream. We had everything and had nothing at the same time. So when people say that like money doesn't make you happy, I do truly believe that because we definitely had money. We had phenomenal jobs, both of us, but all it created was more debt and more crap to do around the house, honestly, or more stuff. We accumulated more stuff, which, by the way, I will tell anybody out there, you don't ever realize how much you have in your home until you get rid of it. And getting rid of it is like one of the most freeing experiences there is. So we decided that our relationships with our kids were really important, and that we wanted to travel and experience the country while we still could, because of course everybody says, well, when you're retired, and I'm like, well, hell, I don't know if I'm going to make it till I'm retired, because you don't know when your time is, and or what type of physical condition you're going to be in either. So why not do it?
And your kids are going to
now?
be in their own families and done anyway, so they're you know.
Yeah. So we sold our house and everything in it, almost just about, and got a 42-foot toy hauler, and we've been traveling the country with them for the past 2 years. So we homeschool, we stay in a place for a month, because I'm not, if I did any more, I think I would have to be institutionalized because that's too much travel. So we basically stay in a spot for a whole month, but that gives us the month to really experience the culture, eat at the restaurants, go to the national parks, really get a sense of the area that we're in and the type of people that are in that area. And then after the month, then we continue to move on to the next spot. So it's been really good. I would not trade it for anything, the experience of having that with our kids and being able to homeschool them and be close, with them. Because I feel privileged. Well, I am privileged because I get to wake up with my kids in the morning and eat breakfast with them. And, our 8-year-old still likes to cuddle in bed and watch cartoons in the, the wee hours of the morning. And I would not trade that for the world, because I know that they're not going to be there. But I also know that this time is really valuable in spending with them, in, helping them develop into who they are going to become and what they value in the world too. So, we do, living in a trailer or an RV or a toy hauler or whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of needs versus wants. So it's really good conversations with the kids, because no, you can't have that huge kitchen set because it's not going to fit. So let's talk about what a need is versus a want. And then let's kind of work it backwards from there. So, the kids don't have, our daughter, at least for not right now, we only have 3 pairs of shoes, a pair of sneakers, a pair of hiking boots, and a pair of flip-flops. We don't need 12 pairs of shoes. We don't need 12 jackets. We don't, so we're really teaching them what's really important. And we're trying to teach them what's important is people, right? Humanity, and having experiences over money, because money is going to come and go. You can't bury it with you. So I'd much rather have personal relationships with people and have experiences than have a bunch of crap that I can't take with me.
Oh my goodness, yes. So 2 things there. Power Parents minimalism is a real thing, and you can look it up.
Your kids don't need everything.
No. You can look it up online. It's a movement. It's really paring things down and realizing exactly what Megan just said. It's experiences and people, not things, that are important. And number 2, a lot of moms especially, but also dads who might stay home with their kids, once their kids start school, elementary school or middle school, is when they think about going back to work. And that's the time when they need you sometimes even more. Because they're trying to navigate this whole social spectrum. And it's not a fun navigation.
Especially now. It's crazy right now.
It's not fun. It really is not fun. All of those middle school, teenage issues crop up. And if you're not there to have that conversation about what is oral sex, then they're going to find the answers somewhere else. And it's probably a friend who really has no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
So yeah, wow, what an amazing adventure, and what an amazing time to do it when your kids can appreciate it and enjoy it. Kudos to you. What a wonderful time. Is there any last piece of advice that you would like to leave for the power parents? And we call ourselves power parents because we have the power to build businesses. If we've gotten a kid through potty training, business is nothing. So any last piece of advice you'd like to give anyone sitting out there thinking about everything that we've talked about, which obviously is a lot more unique, thank you very much for that, than a lot of the standard business conversations we might have. So any last piece of advice you'd like to give?
Just if you need help, know that there are people out there that are willing to help you and willing to help you for the right reasons. We live in a world where it is challenging to landscape because, again, for whatever reasons, our country has gotten to more stuff and wealth and what's in it for me. A lot of it is what's in it for me rather than what can I do for somebody else. But that's not how we operate. That's not why we started this. I didn't have to start this. Sometimes I still wonder why I started this.
You and me both. But then I get up the next day and it's consuming me again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think, when you have a passion for doing something and you love what you do, it shows. And for whatever reason, I was chosen to do this. I still scratch my head sometimes and wonder, but it's just about being present and knowing that what you're doing is good and it's in the best interest and well-intended of others. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's about how can you help somebody else? It shouldn't be about you. Obviously you take care of yourself, you take care of your family, and that should be what's most important, at least, a category. But the next category isn't, what kind of car can I drive? How expensive can it be? Can I get a boat? Can I get a yacht? What else can I get? Can I upgrade my house to, 5,000 square feet versus like, we've really gotten away from the, oh my gosh, like my next door neighbor's mom passed away and it would be really nice if I took them over a card and took them food and told them that I'm here if they need somebody. We've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from a lot of self-obsessing stuff rather than really caring about other people. And at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. That's what we were here for. That's why we were created, is to care and love one another. And I think that we all can take heed in getting back to a little bit of that.
Hallelujah. Yes. Thank you for that. Give your website. Where can people find you?
Sure. It's www.secondchance counseling service, but it's not second spelled out. I figured then the website was way too long. So it's second as in 2ND. If it wasn't long enough, right? So it's second as in 2ND Chance Counseling Service. And we did it exactly why you said, because everybody deserves a second, fifth, 20th chance. Yes. As long as somebody wants the help, we're ready and we're going to be there to help you. No judgment. Sometimes it might take 100 times and that's fine. As long as you're ready, we're ready too.
And you're the only one that can decide if you're ready. Nobody else can do that for you.
Amen to that. Yes. Very true.
Thank you, Megan, so much for sharing this time with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
To get powered up for your day, just go to ParentEntrepreneurPower.com and listen to any one of the over 100 episodes we've had so far with amazing entrepreneurs just like you. It might just help you feel like a grown-up again.